What's up, Towson University? My name is Stacey Coles, your host for What's Hot, and this week I'm here with Korey Johnson to talk about something a little different. So as you know, it's been a lot of controversy on Towson's campus lately, and specifically I want to talk to you about what is Occupy Towson?
Okay, so Occupy Towson was basically a movement to kind of bring more inclusivity to Towson's campus. So it kind of actually just started as an event, and then it became like more of a movement to kind of get some of the really hard to tackle questions that the university, like that we have for the university out and like get our questions answered and all that good stuff. So yeah.
So what specific event sparked the movement?
So we had a We Are Mizzou event. It was on a Wednesday 2 weeks ago. And we basically just wanted to hear like what were some of the issues that were happening, you know what I mean, on campus, what students were experiencing, how were people experiencing violence in the same ways that were happening at Mizzou. And so when we heard all of these things, we already knew like tenure was a problem. Right. We already knew racial slurs were a problem, and so we were like, we just want to get kind of feedback from all the students. And when they came, it was like over 200 students. Everybody wanted to talk. Everybody had issues that they wanted to, and we're like, these are important issues that should be solved like tomorrow. That we shouldn't even have to deal with this. And so that kind of started everything. And then from there, we kind of drafted some lists of demands. We talked to SGA. We did a SGA takeover where we, you know what I mean, bombarded SGA with a bunch of, and I'm on SGA, so we bombarded the entire SGA organization with the demands that a lot of the black students had. And so my role in SGA was, well, how now can we solve all of these problems in a more timely fashion because students are dealing with them, and then we took those to the president.
Okay, so just like a question, like you know, me and you follow each other on social media and everything, and I saw like a few of the demands were like you said, the tenure issues, enforcing like students not using discriminatory phrases and discrimination on campus in general. Right. What were some of the demands that weren't generally mentioned?
So one of the demands dealt with the University of Maryland school system. So right now, like all of the furniture that we use is paid through prison labor. Right. And if anyone knows anything about prison labor is very cheap. It also mimics like slave labor. And so like it's like you're making $1.15 an hour, and somebody else is getting paid $1,500. The program director is getting paid $1,500 for that table that it might have taken you 3 hours to make, so you only made $5 or $6. You know what I mean? And I think that it feeds into the prison industrial complex. So that was one of them. Another one was like the president's diversity council actually needs to be diverse. So right now, only one black woman is on that council, and then there are a bunch of white people. And so we're like, that diversity council actually has to be diverse, right? So you can't just be like, oh, this is the committee that's made to handle all of the diversity issues, and none of them are diverse. What was another one? Another one dealt with like having a financial advisor for the Greek council, so that like there would be a lot of equity between NPHC and IFC fraternities and sororities. I think that was we had 13 of them. Okay, so it was a lot.
So my question was the main thing that I thought was, whose idea was it to like go in the president's office and be like, we're not leaving?
I don't even really know. We all kind of just sat down and we were just like, we got to do something, you know what I mean? Once you start talking with a group of leaders, you kind of y'all just start throwing things out there, and then everybody's like, yeah, no, that sounds about right. Like, how can we needed an immediate response, we needed like urgency, and we were like, what is the most urgent way that we can do this? And a lot of people don't know this, but 10 or so professors had went to the president's office this semester, to talk about these issues, like, and their voices is very hard for faculty to represent themselves because they work for the president. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, they're not going to overstep their boundaries. So it's like, at this point, it's us. It's us. And so we were just like, let's do it. We were all just kind of like, yeah, let's do it.
So when you like entered the office and like initially he refused to sign the demands, right? So at that moment, what were you thinking?
We're going to sit here until you sign these demands. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the purpose. I feel like people forgot, you know, like, that these tactics were the same tactics that allow for us to be here in the first place. Right. You know what I mean? Like, in the 1950s, there was no such thing as black students being at Towson University, or not in the numbers that we are here today. And so, like, our ancestors had to do that. The people that came before us had to do that. You know, before we had a BSU and a BSU office, we didn't have anything. And so in the 70s, they had to make that happen through using things like sit-ins, going to the president's office, making them listen to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this isn't we're asking you to do this. We should have black faculty here. Right. They should not feel threatened. We should be able to walk across campus and not see the N-word plastered all over campus. It's just not something that should be happening. So, yeah.
And do you feel like this is something, like, how do you feel students of other races can relate to this issue? Why do you think they should be concerned about it?
And so that's why I think that, you know, like, a lot of the demands were not just geared towards black students, but were geared towards people of color, right? So, like, except for the tenured black faculty, but I think that tenured black faculty, you know what I mean, like, it's beneficial not just for black students, but for white students, Korean students, you know, all students. Right. But all the other demands, you know what I mean, like prison industrial complex, really big at incriminating, you know, like, minorities, right. You know what I mean? Like, what else? What was another one of the demands? Or like the IFC fraternities, and you know what I mean. Blacks aren't the only ones that are in PhD. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's supposed to open up a conversation so that we can all voice our concerns. You know what I mean? Hate speech is not just the N-word. You know what I mean? I heard a number of other racial slurs being thrown out at a bunch of different other people. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're going to say Towson is a diverse campus, then it actually has to be inclusive to all people and not just the dominant group.
And have you received any backlash or, like, negative responses from maybe faculty, administration, or even students?
I feel like on all levels, you know what I mean? I feel like when you speak out against something that's so normal to everyone, you're always going to receive backlash. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, there were people who, not saying I'm Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, but like, we look back on those people and we're like, they were heroes. Right. But like, when they were in the midst of doing all that, people were like, why are you marching? Right. Like, you're crazy. Right. You know what I mean? You're getting people killed, you're getting people's children killed, and you're getting locked up. And it's like, but now you look back on it and you're like, even if those people didn't agree with him, they benefited from the things that he represented. Right. And so, like, I feel like that's my whole, and people like were like, oh, you know, you don't represent everybody else's voice, and it's like, that's true, that's completely true. And all I can say is that I can do my best and try my best to fight for what's right, and that, you know what I mean, people can criticize, but as long as you understand what I mean to do and not necessarily just what I do or your interpretation of what I do is what I try to tell people, you know. So yeah.
So how do you want to move forward now? How do you think this will impact Towson now?
I think the biggest thing was to get a conversation going. Like, right. I think that was the biggest thing.
You did that.
And I think that we were, successful, you know what I mean? People with staff, faculty, even adjunct professors, you know what I mean? Down to, you know what I mean, staff who don't even have anything really to do with the administration, to, you know what I mean? Like, the cooks, everybody's talking about it. Right. And it's like, that is the purpose. You know what I mean? Like, even if people didn't like the fact that we stormed Towson, they knew that we did it. And why did we do it? Because of these demands. Oh, some of these demands have credence? Yes, let's look into them. You know what I mean? So I think that that's what we really wanted to do.
Do you think there was any negative effects of what you did? What the group did?
I mean, I think that one of the negative things was just, like, how people viewed the entire situation. And I think we could have did a better job of, like, kind of, like, educating people on, like, what exactly it was that we were doing. And, you know, that's happening tonight. John and Bill Fina are going to be doing Occupy Towson teach-in to explain kind of, like, what our rationale was. And I think that that's the part that I feel like we were not good on. That it wasn't negative, but it wasn't good. Right. You know what I mean? That we could have just use more time to explain to people what it was that we wanted while we were doing the sit-in, while we were, you know, going to the president's office, all of that. So,
okay. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you.